Sure.
Richard.
Hey guys, so I'm Richard Howard. I work at AWS on the startup business development team. I've been in and around startups since 2012 when I was very early on at Uber, done a bunch of stuff, most on the sales BD side, launched my own startup in 2014. We went through Techstars, raised a seed round of 500K, which was big at the time, and then it got smaller as time progressed. And now with the current market, it seems to be pretty sizable again. But we couldn't get the business the place we wanted it to be. So we shut that down a couple of years later. And I've been at Amazon now for the last 6 years, looking after predominantly early stage startups, angel investors and early stage investors. And I've also angel invested in around 10 or 11 companies myself. And so in terms of pitches, I've seen hundreds, thousands maybe. In terms of startups, I've met similar numbers. And so I am excited to hear from you guys.
Fantastic. So the idea here is that founders will pitch to you. They can either use slides if they want to, or they don't have to. We're now towards the end of the program, so they've got about 4 minutes to talk through their problem, solution, the opportunity, why now and why them. Okay. And then just give us as honest feedback as you possibly can. So did you understand the problem solution? Were they linked? Does the TAM seem high enough? All of that kind of stuff. But yeah, as honest as it can be, because we're preparing now for what will be demo day, which will be in January. So we want to get these pitches as good as they can be. We're just going to go in order of when people raise their hands. And if you still want to pitch, you can do as well. So raise your hand at any point during the pitches. Catherine Ann, you will be first.
Thanks very much. I'm not going to use any slides, Richard, but what I would like to talk to you about your life admin. Some people call it personal paperwork, household accounts, even life laundry. But one thing's for sure, whatever you call it, we all have it. And today we have even more life admin we've ever had before. We tend to keep it across a wide range of on and offline places, from boxes below the bed, files in a cabinet, apps, platforms, emails with attachments, spreadsheets, PDFs, and so on. The net result is that often we can't find what we're looking for, we miss things, and we suffer overwhelm from the general chaos of it all. It's a problem that's not just peculiar to us here in the UK, it is indeed a global challenge. Although the UK market has been sized at 16 billion by Control Shift. I'm Catherine Ann, I'm the founder and CEO of Docket. And a few years ago, I found myself in a place of complete overwhelm. I was going through a divorce, and my daughter Chloe, who's got complex needs, was undergoing her medical diagnosis. Same time, I was holding down a senior role in London, and I was literally drowning in paperwork. As time went on, it became worse, and I couldn't find anything to help me. So after doing some research and realising that this wasn't just me, I knew that someone had to fix it. And someone was going to fix it. So that's why we created Docket. So what is Docket? It's basically Dropbox with a brain. It's a single place that helps people manage their life admin. It's B2B to C SaaS, and it gives people one single place for them to manage their life admin that will help them reduce the time, the unnecessary spend, and the stress that it brings. It works by aligning with where users and businesses are at today. So it allows easy manual upload of static paperwork, simple pulling through of information over from emails, and direct connection to providers who have an API, an application programming interface. Once your information's in Docket, that's when the magic starts. So you'll be able to set nudges and reminders to suit your own schedule, and data insights will be drawn from your information that will help you manage your life more efficiently. In its simplest form, you'll have all your documents and information, dates at your fingertips, anytime, anywhere. Where we're at today, we're currently pre-seed, we've secured half the money, and that's allowed us to build our V1, which is on target for a January launch, with a secured pool of diverse paying customers. This will help us consolidate our product market fit. We're a small team, but we've got the right mix of skills to launch Docket and for this stage of the journey. In terms of revenue and profitability, we anticipate being cash flow positive by 2024 at a turnover of just over 3 million, with revenues increasing year on year to 60 million by 2026. So, Richard, why will you invest in us? Bill Gross,
Okay.
founder and chair of Technology Incubator Idea Lab. He's had around 45 IPOs and acquisitions and created over 10,000 jobs, said the most vital factor to a startup success is timing. We've been working in this for 4 years now, waiting in this time, building our knowledge, building our network, and we've been talking to people about the challenges they have managing their life admin, knowing this time was coming, and it has. I'd love to carry this conversation on with you. Thanks for listening.
Cool. Very nice pitch. Very well practiced. I feel like you've been doing that in the mirror or at pitch events or whatever for quite some time. And so I don't necessarily have any kind of feedback. You know, it was well delivered. I think you've obviously got like, you know, a script that you're working off and you've practiced on, and so I don't necessarily have a huge amount of feedback on that. My feedback would be more as an investor. 4 years is a long time to still be at pre-seed, right? Would be my concern. Okay, so one of the things, you know, you said we've been working on this for 4 years, waiting for the right time, and now we're going to do it. 4 years is a long time, right? Like I've been in this job for example, I've been in this job for 6 years. If I had met a company 4 years ago and they were still at the pre-seed stage, I wouldn't necessarily think that they had the recipe for success, because one of the other factors of startup success is the speed with which you execute. And so that would be a big red flag for me. The other thing was, I'd love to know what your estimate of the market size is. Is that just like people, is that the market size of at life admin, people are like outsourcing their life admin to, third parties? What is that actual market, that big market size made up from? And then the other question I'd have, no, the question, so this is like a genuine concern, is like B2B2C is hard. And so it's like, okay, go to market is really hard because you have to get on these, generally probably large enterprises to accept you. And so the sales cycle for them is really long. And you often think that is going to be a method of accelerating your distribution, but it doesn't quite acquire as many customers as you would hope. And so it's not, that is not a, there's other successful B2B2C companies. It is just, it makes your, as an entrepreneur, it makes your life harder. And so it's, okay, what are you going to do that? Because, the sales cycle is not B2C now, right? Like where you're just like trying to get consumers on board. It is B2B2C, and that means you've got the enterprise sales cycle, but with consumer spending habits at the end of it. And so, all right, so what are you going to do to mitigate that? And so, these are the kinds of questions that I would have as an investor. But again, you've done a 4-minute pitch, and so like I don't expect you to be able to answer all of them in the pitch. But that's where my mind goes.
Okay, no, they're all good questions. They're all questions I can answer. I'd be really happy to answer them another time, because I know there's other founders here that are really keen to pitch and get your feedback.
Sure. Yeah, I don't think you need to answer me. Those are just things that I would think about. Like, this isn't me going to invest in you guys. This is me trying to give you like feedback for when it comes. And so, if I'm an investor listening at demo day or at any other time when you're pitching, those are the concerns that would that would immediately pop up for me.
The one thing I'm going to say to you, first of all, is about the 4 years. Technology and consumer behaviour wasn't ready. COVID drove that change.
Okay, cool.
If I hadn't had COVID, I wouldn't be sitting here.
Okay, actually, Richard, thank you so much for that feedback, and Catherine, and for pitching. It's quite a good format, so I might just keep it as this going forward. So what's 1 to 2 questions that come up once you've heard the pitch? Because one thing that we've heard a lot of founders saying over the past few weeks is that you've got to predict the questions that you're going to get asked, so that you can either put them in the deck during the pitch, or you've just got them to hand to be able to answer them straight away. So it might be quite useful for founders to know what's 1 or 2 questions that come into your mind, so that people can just know that they've got that answer if other investors ask a similar question directly afterwards. And then any one major concern that you had listening to it, so that people know how to address that problem. I think that'd be really useful for the others as well. Yvonne, would you like to go next?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, hi everyone. My name's Yvonne. I'm gonna have a slightly interactive session at the beginning, if that's okay. And I'm not going to use my deck. I'm practicing on my elevator pitch. It's kind of like 3 minutes, if you like, elevator pitch. Okay, so the problem I'm going to talk to you about today is probably older than the age of everybody combined in this room. But first, I'd like to talk to you all and ask you a question. How many of you, by the show of hands, I'm just going to lower my hands so that I'm not one of them, knows anyone who's a teacher? So if you can just put your hands up for me. Okay. That's, I think, almost everyone putting their hands up. Okay, a fair number of people know of a teacher, or how many of you have heard of somebody who's a teacher complaining of marking or the fact that they can't go out or they're dealing with marking outside of their normal hours? So marking is a really big problem for teachers. My memory when I was a teacher for 10 years, teaching business and economics, is I was at home marking most weekends and most evenings, and I had 2 children under 5, and it almost broke me. Well, it's not just me who's having this problem. A recent article by The Guardian identifies that half of all teachers would have quit the profession in the next 5 years. So let's put this into perspective. An average school of 100 teachers will usually spend 168K recruiting a single teacher when they leave. That means if a third of all teachers are leaving every 3 years, they're spending an average of 2 million on recruitment costs, money that could have gone into the teachers or the students. That means students are losing out. Well, if the problem is being caused by workload and the bulk of it is coming from marking, why do we mark so much? As teachers, we mark so much because we're not confident of what the students have understood. So the problem is confidence in what the students are understanding when we're teaching. So we've gone and created a tool that assesses in real time, meaning teachers don't need to mark as much because now they're confident of what the students have understood. Before we built this product, we did research with 35 head teachers, 100 teachers, and 1,000 students. We then went and built an initial pilot prototype and carried out a pilot with 2 schools. Because of the overwhelming good feedback we received, we've gone and built an MVP with UI UX that is a clickable prototype. We're now at the period where we need to build a functional MVP and have identified 6 schools willing to work with us as we're building the product, giving us feedback so that we can therefore commercialize it. In commercializing it, we're now in discussions with a knowledge transfer partner who will help us with the commercialization process, and Innovate Edge, who will provide the grant funding. We also have a robust marketing and PR campaign. The marketing is underway, and we are doing PR with one of really good PR firms who used to work for Times Education Supplements and still writes for the Telegraph. The market is huge, with an 80 billion spent every year globally, because this is a global problem on EdTech. In the UK, we spend 8.1 billion. We're raising 300K at a 990,000 valuation and already have SCIS assurance, and we will look to build a 37 million company by 2027. Thank you so much for listening.
Cool. Thank you very much. So it sounds like it is a necessary problem solve. In terms of the pitch, in my mind, you took a little bit long to get to what the problem was. You don't ask people in the room how many people know a teacher. You just assume that either everybody knows a teacher, or they have been to school, or they have kids in school. And you know, it was a bit of a while to get into what the actual problem was. And then the other thing is, like, I would love to, again, obviously we don't have the slides, but I think it would be key to see the product and how it is doing kind of like a continual assessment of you know, the child's understanding. And then because this is children that we're talking about, parents are very particular about their learning, right? And so if I am going to allow, not allow, but like not complain when teachers, don't do, tests or marking or things like that or assessments, then I need to be really confident that it is whatever tool that they're using is accurately assessing my child's learning. And so, I don't know what the metric for that is. That's something you need to find out. But that is, you need to gain the confidence of the parents that this is a really useful tool for assessing learning and actually better than, tests or homework or other stuff. And then, yeah, I think the other thing, when you say this is like I think you said this is an £8 billion problem in the UK, or we spent 8 billion. I wasn't 100% sure whether that was on kind of like assessment tools or for children, or whether that is what we spend on kind of, because you mentioned the top, like recruitment, or whether that's what we spend on recruitment. And then, so just a little bit more kind of clarity around the problem and the size of the market would be helpful as well.
Great. Cool. Zoe, do you want to go next?
Yeah, I'm just going to share my screen. I am going to do slides if that's cool.
Yeah.
Is that good?
Yeah.
Cool. So TERN exists to address 3 critical problems. First, the climate crisis and the fact that we're consuming our planet's resources faster than we can replenish them. Second, whilst consumers want to be more environmentally friendly, there isn't always an easy way to responsibly dispose of things when we're done with them. Selling them on eBay is too much effort. So often things just get thrown away when actually they could be reused, resold, or recycled. And third, the retail landscape is shifting. Customers and stakeholders are demanding that retailers do better, and government legislation is forcing change. So what's the solution that addresses all 3? What if you knew that when you would finish with something, but for whatever reason, that you could return it to the retailer that you previously bought it from, and in exchange receive credit for that item? Well, that exchange is called a trade-in, and that's what we do at TERN. You've been able to do it with your car for years. You can do it with your mobile phone. We should be able to do it with everything we buy, whether that's cushions, cameras, or clothes. And now you can. We're a B2B SaaS business that automates trading for retailers. Our trading app is a white label service that sits seamlessly within the retailer's own website. With a few clicks, simple clicks, customers can easily trade in their pre-owned items. The experience is fully automated and data-driven, so retailers can track and measure the direct impact that trading has on their business. So customers have a responsible way to get rid of things they no longer need. Retailers have a solution that keeps their stakeholders happy and grows their business. And we help the planet by sending less stuff to landfill. Why us? Well, my co-founder Kate and I have always worked in digital and retail, and we've led e-commerce for brands like New Look, Urban Outfitters, and Topshop. But having become increasingly aware of our industry's impact on the environment and not feeling great about it, we set up our own consultancy to focus on sustainable retail. Through consulting and from our own network and research, we saw a strong retailer desire to change, but a lack of solutions available, so decided to do something about it. There are 3 main ways that retailers are approaching this today. Some are running manual trade-in programs, but that's time-consuming and not scalable. Other solutions are mostly focused on enabling peer-to-peer resale or third-party partnerships, but both are hands-off approaches from the retailer. They either ask the customer to take on the selling responsibility in a peer-to-peer solution, or they're allowing a third party to own the collection, resale, and revenue of their pre-owned products. Ultimately, the retail winners are going to be those that choose to integrate circular models directly into their business, taking full ownership of the stock, the customer, the experience, and the future revenue opportunity. And trading is the unlock. Why us? Well, we are the only sector-agnostic SaaS solution available today, where most of our competitors are solely focused on fashion. Our customer pipeline includes hardware manufacturers, jewellery, camera, and eyewear retailers. Secondly, most of the solutions available today only focus on resale as a second life solution. We know a more flexible approach is required, So we're built to support multiple second life solutions, giving retailers full control over how they run their circularity programs. And what's the size of the prize? Well, there are over 24 million e-commerce sites worldwide today, and that number's growing fast. But when we break that down and focus on our target market and our core product categories, our serviceable market at TERN is an $82 million a year revenue opportunity. We have a live product, are early revenue generating, and have a growing pipeline of new customers. We've bootstrapped to this point, our SEIS and EIS approved, and we're now looking for external investment to accelerate our product development and our go-to-market strategy. Our vision is simple: to be the most widely used trading platform, unlocking circularity for retailers globally. This is the future of retail. Thanks for listening.
Cool. Thank you very much. That was very cool. I think so. That's the first time. I think this is a unique instance in this job. This is the first time I've heard a company that does this.
Hey.
And so what is it? Is like, what is the actual process if I'm a customer? So I've bought something from, say it's not even a website. Say it's a shop, right? Yep. And they use TERN. How do I return it to them? What is the method?
You, as a customer, you go onto the retailer's website that you bought it from. If you bought it online, we can surface your online order history, or if you bought it in a store, you can register the product and trade in items that you bought in a physical retail location. And you can see the amount of credit that the retailer is willing to offer you for those items. We've got an integrated logistics element to the app experience. So once the customer said, these are the items I want to trade in, based on their location, we surface them their carrier options. And once they've said great and selected which one they're going to use, we then confirm the trade-in order, send them a label to send the stuff back to the retailer. And once the retailer receives the items, we automatically trigger the credit to the customer in the form of a discount code that they can spend on their future purchase. And then the retailer takes ownership of the goods, and they can reuse, resell, whatever the next best life for that product is.
Got it. And what is the, I'm sure it changes for every different product. What is the average credit that a retailer is willing to offer versus what the consumer could make by selling it via an eBay or a Vinted or a Depop or something similar?
So, as you rightly pointed out, the amount of credit you're willing to offer as a retailer will depend massively on what the product is, what category it is, how old it is, you know, what they're going to do with that product in the secondary market, because it might not be resale, it might be upcycling, recycling, donation. On average, what we're seeing is that the amount of credit offered is around 30% of the original purchase price. You could potentially get more money if you sell that yourself on eBay or Vinted, but you're not a guaranteed sale if you put something up there. Whereas if you trade in directly with a retailer, you are guaranteed that credit. So you also, you know, there's a level of confidence in that transaction as well. Not everyone wants to be a seller.
No, and I'm not saying that they do. The reason I ask is if there's a big difference, people will just choose to sell, like via a third party, right? Just because what you need to make sure, even if there's a difference, that's fine. If it's a small difference, whatever. If it's a significant difference, then that's when the issue is going to come in, right? And obviously, that's not your place to dictate, but that is what's going to be the issue for the consumer, right? Like, why am I giving it back to the shop and I'm getting, you know, say I bought something for 100 quid and they're giving me 30%. When if I sold it on eBay, I get £75, right? And that is, and so like if it's 30 pound discount versus, you know, maybe 40, then all right, whatever, it's much easier, you know. But if it's double, then that's when the difference comes in. And you know, like there's a reason that, but then maybe they're not the consumers you go after. Like there's a reason that yes, cars are traded in all the time, but there's also a reason that Auto Trader exists, right? It's because people know they can get more money, they sell it via Auto Trader. And so you just have to try and educate the retailers not to, and you know, judgment ultimately comes down to them. But you know, if it's going to be successful, you need to make sure that your retail partners are not trying to rip the face off the customers on the return.
No, but there's also a benefit to the retail partner in being competitive with the other secondhand platforms themselves, because for them, you know, the long-term opportunity is to, you know, build up customer acquisition and retention based on offering a program like this. And the only way to do that is to make it really, you know, attractive, both from a customer participation point of view, but also from a revenue generation point of view as well. So there is a balance to be had. We've just onboarded a children's wear retailer, and we help them with their pricing strategy. They have got a very active Facebook marketplace customer that was selling their products secondhand there. So we did a huge amount of research in what are their products being sold at in the secondhand market at the moment, and therefore what's the right level of credit to offer to make it appealing, but also to make it profitable. So yeah, there's definitely a balance to be had.
No, for sure. And then the other thing that I would say is because you presented a slide, it's always good to have, you know, the traction and the competition.
Yeah.
So you mentioned the competition in terms of like slightly different marketplaces and things like that. But if there's anybody doing specifically this, it would be good to know what that is.
Okay,
but
great.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Awesome, thank you. Chrissy.
Yeah, thank you. And hi, Richard. Hi, all. So I'm just going to give again a pitch without any slides.
Sure.
Great. So hi, I'm Chrissy. I'm the CEO and founder of Starlix. I'm a thought leader in the cross-border payments and compliance industry with over 20 years of experience in fintech, risk, payments, and compliance. Starlix is a compliance digital platform that provides payment and banking account providers with provable end-to-end compliance transparency of their clients, customers, and any involved parties in the payment chain. And how we do that is by collecting the information embedding it into transactions. We are solving the problem of lack of transparency in the cross-border payments market, which is over $115 trillion, and that has been experiencing financial crime fines exceeding 577 billion pounds, and with an emerging market of banking as a service that involves multiple parties and layers, we see that we have a market opportunity. Why now? Well, first of all, we are here to crack down on financial crime by providing auditable and provable end-to-end compliance transparency. With the Russian-Ukraine war, we have seen that the government has been pressing more on it. So they had introduced the Economic Crime and Corporate Transparency Bill. And lately, we have also the crypto travel rule has come into play, whereby they ask from crypto companies to evidence the ultimate sender and the ultimate receiver associated with that transaction. Starlix is part of the FCA sandbox. It has been a finalist in a number of awards, FF awards, where the FS Tech and the Payments Association nominated for cross-border payments and compliance RegTech solution. We currently have 2 clients using our product, and we are looking to raise £1 million so that we can expand our product and grow team to acquire more customers. We have been partnering with a couple of compliance consultancies that understand the need of proving end-to-end compliance with regulatory authorities, banks, and auditors. At the moment, I'm asking for your feedback, and if you have any connections to investors in the B2B fintech and regtech market who want to be part of our compliance transparency journey. Thank you.
Cool. Thank you very much. I guess so the first question is so yes, compliance is very important, very boring, but important. And so like this boring stuff that can make money because you know, there's not a huge market, there's not a huge number of competitors for it. Where are you, who's your customer?
Our customers are payment, and they are payment firms, e-money firms. They're called electronic money institutions or payment money institutions. They could be banks or non-regulated firms, but they all have one thing in common. They offer virtual payment accounts and banking services. So it's a new trend. It's not really new, but one could come across it more often now in the fintech market, the banking as a service term.
Okay. And so would you be charging them on a kind of like per payment basis, or would it be like a standard kind of like SaaS, you know, monthly fee? What is your business model?
So it's a SaaS, a monthly fee. We're starting because we have now a more detailed pricing schedule, which is charged based on transaction and check fees. But once we aggregate those numbers and we are able to segregate it, we would just combine based on a set of transactions, monthly fee. Okay.
And I guess who are you, you know, do you have like current traction at the moment? Where are you in that journey?
Yeah, so far we have 2 clients that are using our platform, and they're using our platforms because they want to have consolidated compliance and being able to evidence it. So looking forward, we are actually, instead of only focusing on the payments institutions or those companies that offer payment accounts, we want to expand also to the greater market that offer banking services, and in terms of more globally, trying to also look at the global access.
Oh, cool. Yeah, it makes sense. We look at, I think it's 5 minutes. I guess those are the top questions that come to mind. I think traction is key. There's a lot of players in the kind of, a lot of players in payment space, a lot of, you know, neobanks coming up. It's just about kind of where your product fits. And I'm assuming it integrates into a lot of already existing, you know, back office banking platforms, right? Because it would need to sit there, right, to do the you should do like quick KYCs on and compliance checks on the customers.
Yes, our product fits by linking compliance with payments. So far, the compliance teams have their own pieces of software, and there may be different companies, although there is a trend now to aggregate all those checks, like know your customer, know your business, and transaction monitoring. And then they have the payment section, the department that actually processes payments. However, we say that we can demonstrate end-to-end compliance and more transparency on the compliance information on those payments by linking and embedding the compliance information into those payments, so that these 2 departments are not actually in silos, but we bring them together in a collaborative manner and also provable. So one can prove the compliance that has been associated to those payments.
Okay, and then if you mark something, and this is my last question, if you mark something, because you're not marking it as compliant, right? You're just connecting the 2. You're not doing the compliance checks yourself. You're just connecting the 2.
No, we offer it by using a third party.
Okay.
But effectively, it's about collecting the data and slotting it in and embedding it into the transaction information, which we also collect through an API.
Okay, cool. All right, thanks. I guess those are my kind of immediate questions.
Yeah, great, thank you. Poulami, I saw that you had your hand raised, but you just took it down. Are you still wanting to pitch? If so,
I do. I accidentally probably took it off. Hi, Richard. Hi, everyone. Mine is also a little like compliance, but not in finance. I think I'll share the investors deck and then, can you see?
Yes.
Yeah, so we believe, I'm Polemy, I'm the founder and CEO of Bombay, and we believe ethical sourcing is the only way of sourcing. Our mission is supply chain transparency in ethical manufacturing, sourcing, and procurement. So why are we doing this? So for example, recently Shein's IPO was being stalled for unethical sources. UK retailers cut down $10 billion of contracts because it was coming from unethical suppliers. Consumers these days, especially Gen Z and a lot of millennials, that includes like 75% to 80% of them, do not want to wear something where they know child labor was involved, or like, you know, wages were as low as £2 and there was exploitation. You do not want to be a part of it. So brands definitely think about their reputation and the risk shutting down if not sourcing from better sources. So what we are offering a B2B crunch-based sort of a platform of ethical manufacturers, which basically is like a due diligence simplification platform for brands and retailers so that they procure ethically or manufacture ethically. So where we are at the moment, currently we have a sign-up page. We have verified 1,000 manufacturers from 10 plus countries, and brands and buyers contact us, and then, you know, for the access, and then we have a network of around like 4,000 brands and buyers and then manufacturers. And how we are going to do it. Before that, let me just talk about the market validation. So like, for example, this is Jess, this is Maria. They have medium-sized brands and they want to manufacture their products, and they definitely want to know, they do not have a very full-fledged system like how H&M or Marks and Spencer has. They do not have a supply chain thing in place.
Sure.
They do not want to work with consulting. So they want a platform from where they can get to know in minutes, like where this is, if there are any lawsuits, where the origin is, where the manufacturer is located, what the ethical certifications and so on and so forth are. So we basically want to help them, and we want to charge them some money. We do not want to charge them a lot of money. Right now it's pre-revenue, but the point is we charge them say $2,000 over a period of year. So even if we get like 20,000 brands, we are set, we get 40 million in place. And we are not charging our manufacturers. We have a lot of manufacturers, but then we do not want to charge them a lot of money. We want to charge them nominal amount in brackets as a SaaS product for like say visibility, trust badge, so on and so forth. That's not the main chunk of money. Main chunk of revenue comes from these brands like what Maria Chase and others have, like medium-sized brands and retailers. So this is basically the business model. I think I just spoke about it, and quickly I'll talk about the team. So I've been a founder for 6 years. I kind of worked on ground with manufacturers earlier in my previous startup. I know what the problems they face, and I kind of understood exactly what was going on during the pandemic when we were getting orders and the problems these brands and retailers were facing for procurement. Apart from that, my first investor, angel strategic investor, is Sajayat. He used to work at San Francisco, Amazon and PayPal. He went back to India. Now he has a B2B commerce business in Bangladesh. They raised recently from Peter Thiel too, and they raised like $100 million, and he's one of the first backers. Apart from that, Isa works for the impact measurement, currently part-time because I don't have money to pay her. But then, yeah, she wants to join full-time some point. And Kevin is a partner at a VC firm called Diversity X. They're raising money and so on and so forth. I look after BD and everything else at the moment. Pretty much I'm looking at like say 100,000 in angel commitment at the moment for the launch, because we have the numbers, we have the community. And it's impossible for me to do everything. So the point is like we hire 1 or 2 people at least in contract basis or whatever. We release it and then we start also monetizing. Earlier, the plan was to monetize a bit later, but given the current financial situation, I want to like quickly roll out at least some of the monetization plans which we have in mind. And we are also endorsed by LSE, and I'm doing Hotbed, and that's pretty much about it, I think. Yeah.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
All right. So the first questions that jump into my mind
Yep.
are, sorry, bang that table. Are so because you started off the pitch with Boohoo and others, and then when you go to your customer, it's not the Boohoos or the Adidases, it's the small maybe influencers or whatever looking to do like a small e-commerce thing. So it's like, Or is it which one is it really where you're targeting? Is it the big retailers or is it the small kind of
So right
individuals?
now in the positioning, we have to think about the positioning aspect. We are a startup. So immediately we want to, who won't give rat, like they won't care about us. So I want
Yeah.
to target mid-sized ones right now. So that like, there's growth. And then once we have that in picture, then we slowly start targeting the bigger brands. So right now we are not targeting extremely small ones. We are targeting mid-sized ones, like for example, at least their turnover is say around 750,000 GBP or a little lesser than that, so that they can we establish the relationship, and then slowly in 2 years point, like there's word of mouth, and then we start slowly getting into bigger brands. So that's how the plan is.
Okay, and then the other thing is this is like being my most cynical self, right? Is how much do the brands care about the ethical side of things until they get caught, right? Like they don't, like I'm not. You don't need to answer it. I'm not that. I'm not. You're not pitching for investment. This is just. I'm just trying to tell you what came up in my mind. Is like how much do they really care?
Yes.
Because if particularly the big brands could have done this check themselves, right? But they don't, because it's about price and speed, and that's why they do what they do. And then the other question on the back of that is, are you going to get small brands to pay $2,000? I'm assuming it's $2,000 for like, it's a one-time payment for a lifetime access, or is it a yearly subscription?
Yearly subscription.
All right, so are you
in brackets? Yeah.
Are you going to get them to pay $2,000 every year for access to a database they might only need to search once or twice?
So it's not just the database, it's not just the ethical certifications. We are also giving a couple of other stuff, like say lawsuits, export trade reports,
Yeah.
And then
but what I mean is, once I've found my manufacturer, do I need to pay another $2,000, or are you going to get a humongous amount of churn? And so that would be my concern.
Yeah, I understand your question. So the first one was, I think, about the brands, if they're willing to pay, and they're mid-sized, and how ethical they think they are, something of that sort, right? Do they think they're ethical or not? Yeah. So about the first part of your question, right now, because of the governmental caps, like UK, US have passed laws. And so it's greenwashing or whatever you can say, but then they do not want to breach that, and they do not want to procure from something which is absolutely, because they will be in the bad situation, and then there would be like a lot of counterfeits and a lot of taxes which they have to, or like a lot of levies they have to pay. So they do not want that. So it's, even if it is not morally, it's something which they have to do because of the current situation and the shift that has happened legally and from the government POV. About the second thing, which is about the churn and if they find customers and so on and so forth. So it's a very, very practical question, but then there are ways to do it, because we are what Crunchbase is like. It's an ad tech sort of a marketplace model. Where
what I would say with that, and this is because I'm a user of Crunchbase, and we at Amazon use third-party startup tools. The thing is, we're searching for that on an ongoing basis, not because that's because we're looking for data, constant, and data changes. We're looking at startups, and there's new startups every year. I'm not looking for a one-time or even multiple-time manufacturer of a product. And once I found one I'm happy with them, they could be my partner for years, right? Like if there was just one set of startups that never changed, I would only pay for access to the database once. Or if I only needed that data one time for me to be satisfied, I would only pay for it once. And your yearly subscription is based on the assumption that they are going to want to manufacture new products or different products with different manufacturers every year, and they're going to continue to care about their ethical status.
Ethical status, trade lawsuits, blah blah blah, and also the fact that they can also work with their sellers, but the fact that these people do not have those badges or like ethical certification or something like that. So there's an angle to it which we cannot, of course, go for it at the moment, which is about the licensing partners and getting those things in place, and then advertising those sellers and those brands, like, okay, fine, these are the ones who are practicing it. And like putting it forward. For example, there are some companies, I wouldn't say exactly similar, but then they are into the business. I mean, this is a sector which is, I would say, not very tapped. So some of the businesses are coming into it. Some of the startups are working towards it. So there's one business which does BI for competitors' manufacturers. So once you have data, you can do anything with that. It's just like how you process, package it, and then figure out a way.
I'm just going to jump in.
That's basically. I'm sorry.
No, I'm just going to jump in so that we've got time for Keith to pitch as well.
Oh yeah.
Based on the questions that Richard would asking, I think having something in the deck around your plans to build for product stickiness would be helpful. And then like some of those things, it's just worth tackling head on, because I think that's the kind of question that you're going to get quite a lot from investors. So if you just answer that question already in the deck, that'll just make your life a bit easier.
Got it.
And we can go through that with you next week. No problem.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Keith.
All right, I will attempt to share my slide. It's my first time doing this. Exciting. Cool, great. All right, here it goes. Hi, let me see if I can work this. Okay, let me try to do it again. Okay, not sure why it's not working, but you guys can see my screen, can you?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, let's go. Hope to do it as a check. Right, okay, never mind. I will do this, right, I will attempt, just give me a minute. All right, yeah, I'm Tiffy. I'm basically the founder of Yup Yup. Yup Yup is a doggy parent app. So what I want to do is to introduce you to Tanya and Josh. So basically, there's 1 million dog owners in London, but organizing pub play dates and does it work? Pub play dates is not the quickest or the easiest, and information is out there. It's but it's not centralized. It's not quickest, and it's not the easiest to find. So introducing Yup Yup is basically a location-based app for busy city dog parents. Helps you to connect with dog parents nearby, organize play dates, allows you to RSVP dog-friendly events, and also finding dog-friendly restaurants. So some of the key features are basically the secondhand marketplace for dog owners to exchange and swap stuff. So there's a sustainability element to it. Q&A for crowdsourcing answers, as well as dog-friendly restaurants. And in terms of traction, in terms of where we are right now, I've launched a prototype. It's a web app right now. We have 800 plus registered members. So far, I've been bootstrapping it. 10,000 plus more social media followers. Have organized 10 plus meetups, and at this point, I have about 2,000 wait lists from other dog owners to come on board. The target market are pretty straightforward. Is new and young city dog parents in the city, more probably female scale, and the majority of them are about 20 to 45. You're talking about youngish dog parents. So why now? Few reasons, but the three main reasons is first, pet parents want better tools. And second is we know how we are humanizing our pets. So many times that, I think I read somewhere that eventually in 2050 or something that I think dog ownership will way past baby. I don't know. I mean, don't quote me on that. And the thing is that baby parents the pet parents are similar to baby parents in this, and pet parents has got, you probably would know of some of the app right now that's valued in millions of pounds, which is like Peanut and Mush. The primary think is that it allows them to connect and basically find a friend that they can talk to, that can have play dates with. The market is huge, obviously. We are targeting all pet parent market. We'll focus on London first, and then and we will aim to grow it to other city in UK as well as in Europe, for example, Paris and Barcelona, which has got very high pet parent community. Quick snapshot, competitive advantage. Basically, the key things about us is that we group the community by breed, so you get a better answers, and also there's a very strong safety element there, and other dog-friendly restaurants. So go-to-market events is our primary go-to-market activities, followed by social media and word of mouth. So all the 800 communities that have grown so far has all been done organically, and 50% of them has been through word of mouth. Revenue model, few options. Definitely primary is the free/premium model, in the sense it's subscription, because I know that pet parents are very, very comfortable in subscription, just using Rover and Borrow My Doggy as example. And there's a free plan with a tiered option. Other revenue model that we haven't tested is the marketplace, as well as white labeling the tag that we have built. What we're looking for, the use of funds, which is 200,000. That includes getting the tag built and hiring a full-time marketing person and operation. Lastly, briefly about me, started career in branding advertising in BBH in Hong Kong and Singapore before moving to London. Have helped launch numerous marketing campaigns for Levi's and Cathay. So in the startup space for the last 4 years, helping startup to scale on the talent side. And then I myself is a dog parent. So Yup is basically solving a genuine problem that I understand inside out. And I'm just at the beginning of my journey, so eager not just for the financial support, but for the mentorship, and followed by my team, which I have a group of, I would say, contractor team members as well as advisory, which has helped shape where Yup has. So yes, end of my presentation.
Okay, cool. I'm gonna go in like 2 minutes. So I'm gonna try and be as quick as I possibly can. So like I can see the value where you're coming from. I'm not a dog owner myself, but I understand that it is a humongous and growing market. My biggest questions would be, I mean, you either make money in this world like bundling or unbundling, and what you're ultimately trying to do is like unbundle like Facebook groups, right? Like I'm sure there's a million local dog owner, dog parent Facebook groups for every part of London, and you're trying to unbundle that. My question would be, you've got like the size of the market, and that's the amount of money spent on pets in the UK, but that I'm assuming that includes things like chew toys and food and leads and collars and things that dogs definitely need, whereas this is more of an optional purchase. And so like my question is, how much of the problem is pet play dates? Because ultimately, and it looks like the app does more than that, or Yap does more than that, but when you opened up, that's what you spoke about. And so that is what I anchor on.
Okay.
And from my perspective, again, not knowing that problem itself is not a humongous problem, but is a venture investable problem. If you are like, we were a, but then it becomes, you try to differentiate yourself from other, dog apps and things like that. There's what company I met recently came out of Techstars last year, I think, called Fluffy, and they're starting down they're down the insurance route, but ultimately they want to do a very similar thing, right? Which is like, it's a very competitive landscape. So maybe it's a good in to what is a very competitive landscape, but I just don't understand it because I'm not a dog owner. And so it's just from my perspective is somebody who doesn't know that much about it, I'm like, well, how big really is the market for meetups? I don't know. Am I paying for that? Where is it just an app? Like, where are you making your money? That's my biggest feedback. But I have to run, so I want to thank everybody for the time and everybody, especially for the pitches. But yeah, so I don't know, Purdy and Margaret, I want to.
Yeah.
No, that's all
Thanks
good.
so
Thank
much
you
for
so
joining
much.
us, Richard. Appreciate your time today. And this is your second session, so extra appreciated.
No worries. Thank you so much for having me, guys.
No worries.
Thanks.
Take care.
Yes, bye.